All righty. Welcome to the Hood Talks podcast, y'all. This episode right here
Good
is
morning.
one that is dear to my heart. The wisdom of the hood. I definitely wanted to have this conversation and highlight people that's in the hood, that's doing work, that are of the older generation, the ones that carry all of the wisdom. And I am dedicating this episode to my late grandfather, Johnny Dean. I miss you dearly. His birthday was recently, and also shout out to his sister, my aunt. She passed away recently. Another gem in this community, in this world. Anna Dean, we miss you dearly. So y'all, I am so ready to go ahead and get in and let these women introduce themselves. One plug real quick about the shirts. They are out there. They are for sale. If you want custom, which would be anything that says, oh, there we go. Anything that says anything different at the bottom. You can call, you can email to me. You can email me, thehoodtalks@gmail.com. Or if you want just a basic design where the community voice comes first with the logo and just the basic design at the bottom, that's a campaign that's out there. You can get it off the page, and that's quick and easy. I'm gonna get that out the way, but let's get to this conversation. I do want to let Miss Shirley Emerson go ahead and introduce herself first, ladies. If you don't mind, she will have to step away. She is a busy lady. See, that's what I mean when I say they out here putting in work. They putting in work. That's just proof that they putting in the work. So go ahead, Miss
Okay.
Lady. Please
All
introduce
right.
yourself to us and what you got going
Okay.
on.
Well, good morning to everyone. Thank you, Shavana, for extending the invitation for me to be here. I'm really excited about what you do. Um, my name is Shirley Emerson, and I am a resident of the First Ward in the city of Ferguson, and I've lived here since 2004. I'm from St. Louis, born and bred in St. Louis. I was raised and spent most of my childhood in North St. Louis, actually in Walnut Park. And so um, I moved here in 2004. My background is in urban affairs and social work, and most of my work is in communities, working, doing social and economic development in communities. And I've spent most of my career, I've been blessed. I always tell people I've been blessed to be able to combine the best of both worlds. I also do some teaching, and so I'm able to teach students what I do. And I've been blessed to be able to work in that field. When I first moved here in Ferguson, I was working in the city of St. Louis. Was doing a lot of work over in the third ward in the city of St. Louis, and that was my passion. That was where I got my roots in many respects. And so I always knew that at some point I was going to get more involved in my community here. But all of with community work, a lot of that work takes place in the evenings and on weekends, um, non-traditional hours.
Yes.
And so that kept me from being, when during those times when things were happening out here, I was having to do what I had to do in my job in the city. And so, but at some point, I always believe in nothing happens by accident. And so at some point, I was in a conversation with the now mayor, Ella Jones. And, we just connected. It was during the time that she was running for reelection to her council seat. And that we got involved at that point. And that's what really got me involved in the community, because I started working with her campaign. And I have continued to work with Mayor Ella. We worked through that campaign, and then we were together through the mayoral campaign. And I am continuing to work with her. And since then, I've gotten involved with other things. One of the things that I'm really excited about, and I'm happy to say that Shavana is working with me, but we were able to start a CDC, a Community Development Corporation, recently.
Wow.
And actually, Savannah is one of the officers. in that corporation,
Yeah.
but primarily we're going to be looking at housing in our community and dealing with that issue. But this young lady, I met her, I met you at a community meeting, and she's someone that immediately when you meet, she just jumps out at you, just know she's going to do great things. And so, she stepped up to the plate when the offer was made about this community development corporation. And so I'm really excited about that. And, there are other things that I'm doing, working with the mayor. I'm working on some of her task force to bring the city forward. Um, we're mainly interested in trying to move the city forward, trying to develop do more economic development, social and economic development, because you have to be careful when you talk about economic development, because what we don't want to do is develop it to the point that it forces the people that already live here out of here.
Yeah.
And that happens all too often, but we're trying to do it in a way that that won't happen.
Benefits the people that live there.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes, well, thank you, Miss Shirley. I appreciate it. I thank you for being here. And you are a gem. Also, I'm like again, I'll be so inspired by all of you all and people that I do meet in the community. So, no thanks to me. Thank you to you guys. You are inspiration and all that you guys do. And if whoever would like to go next and introduce themselves, please be my guest. Or you want me to call you out? Like I see you on my screen. However, I'm gonna call you out, Miss Audrey. I see Miss Audrey. Then we're gonna go the President Audrey. Yes. Go
Well,
ahead, Miss Audrey.
um, I know you wanted our age. So I have retired from nursing. I have been a nurse over 30, 32, 33 years. And that was kind of my second career. I guess that was my career because I had a job and then I had a career. And so again, like Miss Shirley said, you're busy working and doing things, but I was always kind of community minded because I was raised Catholic, and you always got involved in the church activities, and some of it would spill out into the community, and I watched my mom do a number of different things. So as I grew up and matured, I found a church, and I had a daughter, and I wanted to show example for her. And so I ended up being involved in church by being the Girl Scout leader. I started a mentoring group. It was called Sisters in Support, a group of women coming together to support each other. And on my first job, I was like a shop steward. So I always felt the need to help each other. So when I went into nursing, I said, well, what is my gift really to society? I said, I have a gift of caring. And so I became a nurse, LPN, RN, associate, and then got my bachelor's. And so it was very, very meaningful because my niche was home care nursing, going into the homes. And it was just amazing to see how people lived, especially from north to south. And when I went from south, I started over there, and then I come north and started seeing the deterioration of the city in north of Delmar. I'm like, wow. When I grew up, I grew up all over St. Louis, from downtown at Vaughan to, I guess they don't neighborhoods specifically, but to Academy Sherman. I was over there. I was over by, I'm not sure the area on Natural Bridge and Union. But these were neighborhoods that were predominantly African American homeowners that, you know, took pride. People cleaned up, and when my mom and dad divorced, unfortunately, they couldn't keep the house, but we stayed in apartments, and we were painting, and she was outside sweeping. We kept up things. So when I started seeing the deterioration, it was very disheartening. So I had the opportunity to have a house built down the street from my church. It was part of the Grand Rock development. And had it built in 2001, again, working. And, we started with the block units and, trying to, feel good about being homeowners. And that was exciting. And unfortunately, I had to kind of pull back a little bit, working 12-hour shifts and things like that. So I retired in 2017, going forward to help take care of my mom. But it gave me the opportunity to say, okay, what can I do in the community as well? So I say, I'm 68 years young. This is my second act. I was part of the leadership program that was housed at the Deaconess. So I've seen a lot of positive things happen. And so I was just really excited to see what can I do to make the community better. And the best thing that happened to our community was to partner with the Deaconess Foundation. And right now, and I know we're going to have questions later, so I'll kind of stop there, but there's a North Central plan. And what that is looking to develop the areas north of Delmore, Sonny. We're coming from Newstead up to Compton and from Delmore over to Martin Luther King. And we're looking for a transformation, and we're talking about incorporating everything, for the youth, for the seniors that are there now. And also I'm hoping that maybe we can do a nice assisted living. I'm thinking totally outside the box.
Yes.
You say, if you see it, if you when verbalize it, you see it, it'll happen, So I have some really, really good people working with me. And so I'll stop there because there's other stuff to share and I don't want to crowd the show.
But now, kudos. I mean, because that's just goes to show how much you're doing in the community, Ms. Audrey. And I appreciate you working with me. Also, you didn't even mention the NLF grad recently. You did NLA program. I mean, so much. And we're working on our quality for health team and moving school-based health centers forward. I mean, she working, y'all. We working. We is working. So yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Another great in it. Oh, go ahead, Miss.
No, I'm sorry. I know you mentioned about age, so I am a proud member of the baby boomer generation, and I am proud of our generation and all that we are doing. So
it's beautiful. I tell you, it's inspiring for me. I swear, it is. And another graduate, NLF graduates, Miss Sunday. Please introduce yourself and all of the great things that you have going on in the community. And we're going to get to you, Miss Elise, after Miss Sunday. Okay.
What a nice segue. Go ahead, Shavana. Okay, yes, I am a recent 2020 NLF cohort graduate, and both Shavana and Miss Audrey were both in my class. I love them, and we had such a fantastic time sharing and bonding with one another. But my name is Sunday Whiteside, and I reside in the Walnut Park East neighborhood, and I've lived here for over I've lived here for over 40 years. And you know how in St. Louis, everybody wants to know what high school you attended. So I attended Cardinal Ritter College Prep when it was over here on Thecla. Yes. And then I graduated from there and went to what was formerly known as the University of Missouri-Rolla, but now it's Missouri University of Science and Technology. Okay. So that's the third time I've known that institution to change its name. When I was announcing to my family I was going to attend there, my grandmother said, no, that's called the School of the Mines, Missouri School of the Mines. And I was like, really? And I didn't even understand it because I thought that was mines and it was mines in the ground. Yeah, anyway. So I graduated from there with a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering. So I worked in that field for a number of years, and then I shifted into IT, and I started working in IT for the Community Action Movement. So I don't know if any of you remember the Human Development Corporation, HDC. I spent, I think it was 7 years there. And then when they collapsed, I started working for People's Community Action Corporation. So I spent a total of 11 years in the Community Action Movement. And then now I've shifted from even there to getting more into development and real estate and other things. But I have a daughter. She's 29. She is a doctor of pharmacy. I call her a legal drug dealer. you know, and yes, yes. And she's engaged to be married, and I'm so proud of her for that. Yes, thank
Congrats to her. Shout out to her and her fiance.
Uh-huh.
yes, yes. And I'm
That
gonna
was a
share a
lot of work.
video.
That was a lot of work. So I know she's
Oh, she
grieving.
went to Xavier University in
Okay.
Louisiana, and I have family from in Baton Rouge, so that was a good convenient place also for her to attend. But I serve as board president of the St. Louis Association of Community Organizations, better known as SLACO, and we're the umbrella organization for the region's neighborhood association. So we have a lot of them in the city. We have one in Metro East, and we have one in St. Louis County, trying to make it two. So we're trying to expand our footprint, because the more people we unite, the more influence we have on advocacy for certain issues that affect our community. I'm co-founder of the Walnut Park East Neighborhood Association, and I am co-founder of what is called the St. Louis Vacancy Collaborative. And I serve as the Vacancy Advisory Committee co-chair for that. And that is a movement to eradicate vacant properties in our neighborhoods. You know, in Walnut Park now, Miss Shirley, I don't know if you come
Yes,
through in a while, but it looks
I
like
have.
just got
Mhm.
bombed and just bombed totally, and it looks
Yes.
war torn. A lot of North St. Louis does, and it's not, and it's not the residents, the existing residents' fault. And that's one of the things, but we have to rise up and unite and do something about this problem. So we've done a lot of things, and I'll share more on what the collaborative has done. But if any of you want to join in and help, visit our website at www.stlvacancy.com, because we need more people to unite on this movement. I'm also on I'm a steering committee member for a new initiative called Cure Violence. And that is one of the things, gun violence is plaguing our city so. And so I serve on that committee as well. But I don't want to hog the whole conversation, because I think more of what I do will come out more. And I speak really fast, so I apologize to you, but I was trying to keep it. She said we had 60 seconds. I was like, oh, Lord. But
I'm sorry, y'all, because and I know you guys have a track record. You guys are doing some amazing work. So please, no, take all the time you need. Like you said, it will come out in the conversation, because this is just a
it'll come out.
conversation. So we definitely hit more points on what you guys got going on, because it's a lot. It's a lot. It is a lot.
Thank you.
No, thank you,
And
guys.
thanks for having me here. And I'm glad to see the wonderful faces that I already knew, and I'm glad to meet some new ones. So thank you.
It's definitely going to take all of us in this work, community work. I always say that it takes all hands in. So yes, Miss Elise, please grace us with your presence.
Good morning. I'm Elisa Bennett Hart, and I know Miss Shavonna from Flourish. We are looking to eliminate racial disparities in infant morbidity and mortality by 2033, our North Star. And I came to that work I was 50 something then. I'm 56 now. I don't know what I was when we really officially started. As a mother and a grandmother, I have 2 grown children. My daughter's 34, married, and has twin granddaughters, my only grandchildren. And my son is 28 and newly married and serves in the armed forces. My greatest badge of honor, and I've done a few things in life, is that I have raised 2 productive African-American children.
Yes.
This
And that's to be committed.
So, that's my thing. I moved back to St. Louis, so I am a native. I was born at Jewish Hospital, the J in BJC.
Okay.
Back in the day when I don't know how my mama got in there. But she did. So, and the first place I ever remember living is in North St. Louis on Wabata and Kings Highway, right across from the hospital. Never happened. We didn't get in no car. My mom just scooped me up and, took me to DePaul, I think it was.
Yeah.
Right. The school I remember was Bishop Healy, and the nurses with the rulers. That was for real.
But that was Blessed Sacrament first. I went there. I know what you're talking about.
Yes, Blessed Sacrament.
But I have lived during from birth to 20 years old, I lived in Kirkwood. I lived in U City. I was first child in in the Timberland part of Kirkwood to go to integrate that particular elementary school. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, and lived in U City, and I graduated high school, Rosati Kane. So I am truly a St. Louis girl, but I left the weekend I got married at 20, went to all over and spent a great deal of time raising my children with my husband, now ex-husband, in Atlanta. Saw a huge, yeah, I spent 25 years in Atlanta. So we only come back home when home calls us back home. My mother has Alzheimer's, and I came home to get her diagnosed and get everything set up.
Yeah.
So I'm the sandwich generation. That means we still parenting our kids,
right,
and now we parenting our parents.
yeah.
So that's where I am. I was a respiratory therapist for almost 20 years. I went back to school, got my bachelor's in English, and started doing corporate communications for, at the time, the biggest real estate firm in Atlanta. It was family owned and operated at that time. And I was the first Black there too. So I helped them to become the merger with Berkshire Hathaway. And then 2009 happened, and the bottom fell out, everything. I lost everything. I lost my home. I lost my stability. What I did not lose is my perspective on moving forward, one foot in front of the other. And fell in love with nonprofit work, and I started in 2010 working in nonprofits, and just wanting to see the least of these get the most of those. So when I came home, I didn't really, I had done nonprofit marketing and communications, and really, I knew what I was doing, but nobody knew me. And St. Louis is definitely a place where you must be known. So I did AmeriCorps Vista for 3 years. Went to Webster, got my master's degree in nonprofit leadership, and just started getting in where I could fit in. So it wasn't about the money, it was about the service. I have now landed at, I hope, my second pension and love of passion, Hawthorne Leadership School for Girls. We are in the hood on North East Highway. And one of my passions is to see young Black women, and young being even some of the teachers there, embrace all that we can be and all that's potentially out there despite our obstacles, and to be just that object lesson. You need to see somebody have gone through some stuff and beat it. So I'm project coordinator there, but really kind of the right-hand person to the head of school, Daphne Robinson, and just thrilled to, if you got to be back home, be back home and be of use. The North-South divide is real. It is real. So, I'm just getting in where I can fit in, and I'm so glad to be in such great, incredible company. People, I'm still relearning my city. So, to you wonderful women, let me follow in your footsteps.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was excellent. Somebody seems to have shown up right on time.
Okay. You must have felt it, honey. It's your turn to shine.
Good morning. I had a lot of difficulties on this other end and a lot of confusions with the Federation. So I do
working. That's all I just said. Y'all some working
it's
women.
All good.
You hear me? In the community. So what we was just doing was introductions, and just telling everyone about you and your work in the community, what you're doing, and if you mind your age, because we are trying to glamify how great this whole situation is here with you lovely ladies, and hopefully inspire others.
Second act. Is that what you were saying?
And I didn't give my age. I'm 52. I'm sorry. I have forgotten. Y'all have to nudge me and say, girl, you talk so much, but you forgot to say that.
I mean, you had some history, because I'm over here thinking like, I don't know what they talking about. I don't know none of that. Okay. But no, I'm sure people like, yeah, I remember that. I know that. So no, you fine. But thank you. And all y'all are again, inspiring. Like I need to go put in some work because look how beautiful you ladies are sitting here on my screen. It's
You were well on your way, miss. Just keep
girl.
living and moving
That's
forward.
right.
You're well
I
on your way.
love
We're
your
very proud of you.
Yeah.
The
You know what,
community
and your
is
confidence.
in good hands.
Right.
Thank you.
Miss
Thank you.
Savannah, I want to share one thing. Then I'll introduce myself. You all ladies know Ida, she passed away, Ida Woodford.
Yes.
So you know
Yes.
what? She was a member of the Urban League, and she was a
Yes.
member. She was past president
Delta
of the
Sigma
Urban League.
Theta.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it was a lot of things. So when I joined the Guild, and I went the Urban League, and I saw her, and she would be at all meetings. And I'm just sharing that with Miss Savannah, and the one she was much older than me, and I was much younger at the time. And I said, "How is this lady at all the meetings?" I said, "How she do everything?" I couldn't fathom how she did it. And then I
That's
was
it.
doing a function, and I looked at her resume. I said, "She on all these organizations. How can you possibly do all of that?" And she inspired me. And so when I looked at that, I said, if she can do all that at that age and be on time and be at all of them, move all like that, I can fit things in my schedule that I didn't know I did. And what I realized is just at timing, at seasons, you can do certain things at certain seasons, but you can contribute to a lot in your community. It just depends on
Yes.
your heart and your commitment. And there's a way to do it. If you ask God to allow you to do it, he will open the door along the way. And that was just the one that
Amen.
inspired me. Like you're saying, we're older, she inspired me. And we didn't get there overnight. We got there from others paving the way of the
Mhm.
understanding.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
There are others that came before
Mhm.
us.
Yes, man. And highlighting it, again, I think that's inspirational. We
Right.
don't see a lot of what people do in the background, in any aspect. And so this is what the platform was built for also, is to highlight these great things. Because I feel like I think about that as a mother with two young ones, when people see me and like she got two kids. That's why I'm always like, mommy, my old kids, because I want women to know that don't stop your shine. You can still
Right.
push through
Yes.
in your
Yes,
community
preach.
with
That's
them
right.
babies right there with you. They might be hollering in my videos, but they are there, and I'm doing this with them.
And you have seasons of things.
Yes, you do.
I absolutely believe firmly that we can do all things, just not all at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah,
That-
I could do
that's
things when
right.
my children were small that might, like I could go to school, I could read, I could do my own business based on their schedule.
Yep.
And then when they
Mhm.
got to be teenagers, it was like, I was multitasking, sitting on the sidelines at the football game. And then when they got to be grown, my daughter needed to finish school. So I moved in to help her with her twins, her cousin with her twins. So
Mhm.
you can do it all. I told, my rheumatologist was laughing at me. He said, when you going to law school? I said, I told you when I turned 60.
And you can do it.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
That's
Definitely do it too.
Yes.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Miss Christina. Please go ahead and introduce yourself. And then when she does that, lady, we will get into one question that I really want to get in before Miss Shirley leaves.
Okay.
So go ahead, Miss Christina.
I won't take long. First, I would like to say I am 51 years old, and I am proud. And I say that because I know many people have not reached this age. And my mother passed when she was 24 from breast cancer. So I didn't think I was going to go really past 40 or 44 when she was 44 when she passed. I was 24. So I had a thing that I didn't think I was going to make it much further. I thought that would be the same destiny for me. Anyway, so I'm proud, and we should all be proud of our age. But
Mhm.
my name is Christina Hazley, and I work for Hazelwood School District as the registrar there. Been a secretary registrar for maybe this is my 13th year there. And I volunteer. I started there when I moved back from Atlanta, Georgia, back to St. Louis, my hometown of St. Louis. I started working at Hazelwood. And it was a young lady there that came to me and said, Christine, you need to come to a meeting at the Urban League Guild. And I said, okay. I said, who's there at that meeting? She said, all women. I said, all women. I said, now, when you get around a lot of all women, it could be fun, it could be different. But I said, okay, I'll go. So when I went there, it was women that were so inspiring. They were doctors. They were lawyers. They had their own businesses. They were writing books. And I said, oh, look, a different group of women. And so I was really just excited. So I've been with the Urban League as a whole since 2008. That's how I got there. And so I started off as a guild member, which is an auxiliary of the Urban League, and then became president. Just went there to help. After I got excited about all the people. See, I didn't realize that the guild had members that was like Ida Football, like Myrtle Hill. I said, oh, all these people, they got their names on something in our city, in this. So I really was excited because I realized it had great women that had done great things and had husbands that were doing inspiring things in the community. So I learned a lot. I just have to say, being a member of the Urban League and currently I'm the president of the Federation of Block Unions, which deals with educating our blocks and bringing harmony and bringing a sense of unity in our community on the block level. The Urban League has been very good to me simply because it opened my eyes to so much I didn't know about. I'm an African American woman from St. Louis, but I did not know about my city. It just was, I didn't know a lot of understanding about my city wasn't taught. I went to private schools. So a lot of things weren't taught to us about things, and that I didn't have family that was in politics. So this organization inspired me a lot. And so my job in here is to educate many others regarding things that are going on in our city, bring other people to awareness of what their rights are, what their rights to get things, what you can get, what's available to you, and just make everyone more civic minded. So I was going to keep it short. My goal is just to continue being a volunteer, being a long life volunteer, and then and increase the knowledge of the next generation, what it means to be a civic volunteer and what are your duties to give back to your community. Everybody has a duty as American to give back civically to their community. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Right on time, right on time. Yes. So we're going to get this really started, kicked off real quick. I know you have to go, Miss Shirley, so I'm going to shoot this to you real
And I
quick.
apologize.
No, you're okay. I understand. Busy. It's busy. That's okay. Okay. So I would like to first say, think about in the past, in the community, in the past, how did it differ than it does now? And what do you feel is missing and what is needed? Or what are we lacking, if that makes sense? So like the community back, when you were growing up versus what it is now today. What is different, what is missing, and what is lacking?
Okay. And I think about, what is missing from the past, the strong sense of community. As I grew up in the 60s and in the 70s, and for instance, on a block, everyone knew everyone. I was raised in a community where pretty much everyone in almost every household along that, in the block, someone was fortunate enough to have a job and they were able to get up and go to work every day. I was raised, pretty much in a community where it was pretty much some single family homes, some single parent homes, but a lot of two parent homes. And it was typical, father went to work, mother, sometimes mothers worked, but families were strong. We were poor, but sometimes you hear that saying you're poor, but you don't know how poor you were because there was so much love there and so much togetherness. And even though we were experiencing hard times, but truly I learned about a village being so important in raising a family, because it was kind of community where, if you did something wrong, if your mother didn't see you, but if Miss Jones down the street saw you, your mother knew about it before you got back home. And so all of those things are very, very important. And the importance of the church in the community and the role that it played, because in the time that I was coming of age, so many of our leaders and so forth came out of the church. And it just seemed to be a stronger bond there. But as I began to see, as I began to age and move, particularly into my teen years, we began to see some erosion in the
Mhm.
community.
Mhm.
But it was brought on by outside forces in many respects. And so a lot of the job, because I lived in an era where a lot of people worked in, there were several major employers in St. Louis. General Motors was one. And I didn't live too far from General Motors, so a whole lot of people in our community worked at the GM plant up on Natural Bridge and Union. And then I remember in the 70s when that plant closed and the devastation that it had on the community, and I started seeing the erosion of people losing their jobs and families, hitting really hard, much harder times. And then it unfortunately began to see the greater influx of drugs penetrating into the community and all of the devastation from that. And coupled with the fact that I also, saw what was missing, what, seemed to be investments in our community. Because when you live in an area or you live in a house, at some point you have to put money into the home to keep it up.
Absolutely.
And it looked like, all of a sudden there was a lot of deterioration, a lot of properties deteriorating and all. But I would hear people talk about how they would try to get loans and they couldn't. And then we started seeing people leave the community. And what the people that followed you most of the time are people that were in much dire financial straits than the people who moved out and began to see more requirements and more need in the community. And that cohesiveness that we had once known, it began to erode. And so, ultimately I saw a transformation from a community where mostly everybody that wanted to work was working, to a community where now most of the households don't work. There's no one in there that is able to work, that is gainfully employed. And really, and when I should say employed in a job that will allow them to adequately take care of their children and raise their families. A lot, it's not that people aren't working, in our community, a lot of people are working, but I see mothers working 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 jobs, and they still are not able to really make ends meet. And children having to really raise themselves because the parents are at work and they can't afford daycare. I began to see all of those things come into play, and it you saw the devastation that it was taking on our community, and that's part of why I've ended up. I've always been passionate about community work and fascinated, but part of why I always said if God ever blessed me to get an education and to get something, I wanted to come back to the community to do whatever I could to help us, because the other side of it was that society made it think that we were pathological. It was what's wrong with these people, that they can't keep up their properties and all, but it wasn't us. It was those outside forces, which unfortunately have been with us for a long time, and they're still with us. But me understanding what the problem was now, that goes a long way toward trying to come up with a way to address it.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Shirley, I hear you, because I go back and I look at that. I was looking at the very first house that my mom and dad had. It was a predominantly all right neighborhood. And it was on Romaine Place, North City. And I don't remember it as well because we were so young. And after they divorced, they sold the house, and we lived in all the areas that have really deteriorated. It has been amazing. And I do fought, and I know this might be live, the Catholic Church. I'm very disappointed how they just moved out of the community, and a lot of their buildings are just, they're just decaying. I went to every school that I went to that is no longer any schools. I grew up in St. Nicholas. That was one of my best experience in the community. And we lived in O'Fallon Place. That was the tall high rise. And there were families, there, trying to get back started. And then there was Car Square. And we had community. We would go to do things at the church, and we looked out after each other, or we were taught that because I was young. Then we moved to Blessed Sacrament. That's right over there by Ashland, and we're on Ashland between Kings Highway and Union. Really nice homes, and again, a sense of community of African Americans. We lived above one of the stores, but under there was a beauty shop, and there was a little confectionery, and we had a nice apartment up there. And that area was all nice. And again, it was by the Chevrolet plant. And then we moved over to St. Mark's. That's the Academy Sherman. And again, there was a sense of community. But when they had that white flight and everybody moved out, things started deteriorating. And again, like you said, I think it was systematic where you couldn't get the loans to fix up, and some of the houses were very large and they just couldn't be maintained, and when you talk about the jobs, you could get a little job. I had a little part-time job, which helped my mom. I worked at out in Northwest Plaza. I think it was Sears, and then I was able to go downtown at FWO work. So you had all these little community stores where you could help the family, and they were decent. My mom worked for National Food Store. She raised her children on that. And so all of that is gone out of the community. I remember when we were on Palm right at Natural Bridge, there was a Woolworth. You had a community theater. I remember the comic theater. We had things. My mom grew up in the Ville. The Ville was self-contained, and I hear the horror stories that they just moved out, but when I would see patients even back 25 years ago, they were slightly declining, but people were really struggling to try to keep their neighborhoods. And so,
you mentioned a place.
What?
You mentioned a place that just, so my mother, my great aunt was Geneva Rome, who was an older person at Palm and Natural Bridge back in the 60s and 70s. And there was a senior center on Grand right there that she ran at that corner. And I used to come over there from the Herbert Hoover Boys Club in the summer and down on Palm and run around the Bosley Brothers. I had a horrible crush. I don't even remember which one. Yeah. So it was a beautiful neighborhood. I go sometimes.
Exactly. And Kings Highway and Martin Luther King. What is that? Sherman Park? You went swimming, and you had community over there, and they just started letting everything just deteriorate. And I just that's why I'm passionate about, we can't allow this to continue. We cannot.
And you see, it wasn't us doing it, but as I said, it was the forces and the powers to be who had made executive decisions, so to speak, not to put money into our communities. But there were times when redlining was so bad, it was much easier to get along, because the thing was, black people were being driven out of the community slowly. And there were opportunities and times when it was easier to get loans to purchase homes in North County than it was to fix up property in the city. Or there were times when you could get a loan to buy a car, but you couldn't get a loan to fix up your home. But that was by design.
They were steering us,
force us out of the city, which now, is being reclaimed again for white, middle, and upper income. So all of those forces were at play to help erode the community that we once knew.
Right.
Well, and I know.
Oh, go ahead, Elisa.
No, Go ahead, Sunday. You haven't spoken in a while.
Okay, I just think that some of the major differences that I have seen is the hardcore drugs now are different. It used to be alcoholism. That's what you
Right.
saw. Your
Well,
uncle drank
yeah,
too much and he
true.
passed out. Now it's crack, it's heroin. It's
Right.
some of these drugs that are completely addictive to and cause people to do some heinous things to one another. The other difference I've seen is our family units used to have men in them. But now men have been systematically picked off.
Yes.
Strategically were picked off to not grow into their full manhood to take helm and control of their families. And then the other thing is I'm Catholic as well. And I'm disappointed also in the lack of presence of the Catholic Church, especially the Catholic schools. But I'm also disappointed in there's really no church either. You know, everybody was going to church at least
Exactly.
one Sunday a
Right.
month because their grandmother, somebody, some
Yes.
adult in their family, and you knew every child had at least one good outfit because they got something for Easter.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you know, you can't count on children to have a dress or real nice dress shoes or a tie, little tie and a little jacket or something, little boys, because we're not taking our kids to school. And one of the things I saw that we stopped doing is we stopped caring. And when we stopped caring for one another, we stopped communicating with one another and we lost our unity because they're the words community. You're communicating unity. We have exacerbated unity because we stopped talking to one another and then caring for one another. And
Absolutely.
and I told you I represent some of the neighborhoods, the umbrella for it. So we host a regional neighborhoods conference, and we had Amy Hunter, this young, dynamic female who does these lucky zip codes. And she came and spoke, and she stood up and she said, "You know what, Miss Sunday, I'm just going to be truthful with you all. I don't even know what a neighborhood is."
Oh,
All
wow.
this stuff of what you're saying of what a neighborhood looks like. I grew up in the city. We didn't have a neighborhood or a block unit. And I think we need to put block units back into action. We need to put neighbor back into the neighborhood. You know,
We
we
need
turn it
schools.
into the
We
hood
need
now. And
schools. We need schools because when they took the
we need
schools out,
schools, but our baseline caring for one
busted.
another does not exist. And I think
Okay, Sunday,
some of the
look.
racist Kool-Aid that made us think we're not about nothing. We lost that fervor where the civil rights movement left and was getting ready to, Dr. King was about to shift it into the economic movement. We got fearful and dwindled away from it, but we should have kept up that fervor.
Right, that's right.
Lost all of that. And
That's
now we're
right.
50 years later and still have the same situations. It's not Jim Crow in the way they lynch and stuff, but they put you in a prison system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm
So I like
they've
to
redesigned it, but the bottom, I'm gonna have to exit out. But the only thing I can say is the bottom line is that we still are dealing with institutionalized racism.
Exactly.
But they've just
Very much so.
they have
we let our guards down. They were giving us
and
jobs. They were giving
in
us
such a way.
space, a house. They were giving us things. We thought everybody was cool, and we bought the Kool-Aid and drank it.
Yes, the illusion of inclusion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Shirley. We appreciate you for being here.
Thank you, ladies,
There
for
will be
all
another
that you're
opportunity.
doing. You're beautiful. Just keep doing what you're doing because we have strength together.
Yes.
All right. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
But I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just gonna say. I forgot what
I think we get. Say it. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Miss Elise. Go ahead. No, this is y'all. Go ahead.
So I heard what Miss Audrey said, and I heard what Miss Shirley said, and we get in this dichotomy of what they did to us and what we didn't do for ourselves, and it's a both and. It's not an either or.
Right.
There is what we did, but the same thing that helped us get a foothold in the North after the Great migration northward from the South is the same thing we got to do now.
Together.
So we've gotten in this mindset that you 18, you grown and go get your own. Nobody else does that.
No.
But us.
No. Yes, we be ready to just throw them out.
One of y'all got an apartment or a piece of something, and then the next one would come. They would work and help you out a little bit and put a little to their side. And then the next one would come. And that is exactly how the Asians and the Latinos do it. And we're
Exactly.
going to have to go back to that because it doesn't matter what they do. It
Mm.
matters what we accept
Right.
and what we decide to adapt and overcome anyway.
Right.
That's what we're going to have to get back to. You
Right.
know, oh, girl, I can't live with them. They get on my nerves. I need to get my own, you know, and then you don't have nobody to watch your children, or else you hook up with the wrong man because you don't have nobody to watch your children.
Yeah.
So, you know, we are going to have to not vilify ourselves, not condemn ourselves, but hold ourselves accountable. And
Yes.
show people this is what we used to do that worked.
Yes.
You know, my ex-husband's family came from Mississippi, big old family. They got them 4-family or 2-family flats or whatever. They put their money together. They paid for them down payments. They made them little payments they could make. And they brought the cousin, the auntie. Haitians know how to do this. Afro-Caribbean people know how to do this.
Yeah.
This one thing this pandemic did do, made you move in with somebody and figure it out.
That's amen.
Or see them every day when you live there, just really see them, you know. And
Right.
Yeah.
It makes you move in with some
Right.
folks. Because if you getting evicted, you got to go somewhere. And
Right.
unless you're just trifling, you're going to find a way to be with mama, grandmama, aunt, uncle, cousin, boo-boo, move to across the state, whatever you got to do to survive. We need to understand that those things are resilience builders.
Yeah.
Yes.
They show us something about how to economically progress when somebody does not want you to. Those are
Exactly.
lessons to be learned. Yeah.
No, and
Right.
trying to get people involved. I mean, I really, you know, we really like what you're doing. But I'm ready for the next generation to step up. I'm not going nowhere yet.
Come on, Savannah, show her. Raise
Yeah.
your hand, baby.
Yeah, you know, but she in Ferguson. I'm here down in Center City, you know, and we moving. But, you know, like I said, you know, we got to realize that we got to step up and work, like you said, work together. And that's what I'm trying to see how we can bring in the young folks to really, really take ownership and have vision. I stay in the next to the Central West End. What'd you say?
I wanted to share one thing because I know we always, I agree with everyone this morning. And I agree with Miss Sunning with the caring. We have to bring back the love and the caring back into our homes and back into the community. That goes to me, what I see, it goes much further than your family. You have to care about the next door neighbor, the person that is down the street or not on your street or not in your community. It has to go further than your mama, daddy, your immediate family. That's where caring and love goes, when it goes outside of your own compassion, outside your own. But another thing, I just was thinking when you were going to share about how do you get the next generation involved? Bring them with you. Like Miss Savannah said, have your daughter sit next to you during these talks and listen. Have your daughter go with you to different functions or different civic things and like that. We have to bring the young people with us and include them and share it with them. Even if they don't like something, share it. Share it. Tell them what's going on, what's happening. They will get involved. They're excited right now, like with the block units. I have to pull, I need some help. Can you help me with this small detail? They don't want to take on huge responsibilities, but give them small details. And what I'm looking at, we have to go to the next generation. We have to go to those babies. My idea when you're talking about bringing the block units back is talking to them and sharing them that we don't learn our community. We don't do this. Make them excited about ownership, about their block, about what's going on. And once you get those kids excited and them teenagers excited, they'll take it back into the house. And then mama, Miss A said, we don't put no trash on our block. And this is, well, no, I'm picking it up. So we have to start back where it dropped off and just go back and pull them in. And one thing, when we talked about the churches, I know the churches fell on us a lot because a lot of them still own buildings in the churches, come that one Sunday, but drive back out there in O'Fallon and live. But we have to make those churches accountable. If they're still in our community, they must support that community.
Right.
And that's my goal, is
Absolutely.
going back to them and making them, you should not own no property in here, and
Yeah.
you don't have this church open no days of the week, only on Sunday, and it's only for you to come back, have it, and then go back home. No, you need to have some events. You need to have some open it up after school, but we have to make the things that are left in our community accountable. Them
Yes. And the
Chinamans
people
or them
that
different
serve in
restaurants
our
where you start
community
donating and
accountable.
giving.
Yes.
All the people that's in there taking from us, they need to start giving back. But like Miss Alicia said, we gotta do it.
Yes.
We gotta stand up and take back and change the things, because we can blame those forces, but we allowed those forces to do those.
That's
You
true.
know, we didn't have
Yes.
to take the Bible, we didn't have to do a lot of things, but things did break up our families. And I agree with everything with Miss Shirley. I mean, that was so powerful testimony, what she stated, and was exact facts. But we know what the issues are now. We need to now not let those issues become again.
Better
But
talk.
I think this is just beautiful.
You better
Huh?
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what? I
I think it's so
wholeheartedly agree
beautiful.
with you, Christina. And one of the things I charge every neighborhood association with is creating a youth component.
Yeah.
And I think that can help them. They're like, okay, what youth do we have in our neighborhood? And I think the block units probably could do the same. What youth do we have? And we need to make sure they are a part of this.
Bring them back in.
Bring them back in. And there's this saying I got to share with you. I see it on Vervis Jones's Twitter, but it goes, it's an African proverb that says, the child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth.
Mm,
So we have neglected our children and not
We
embraced them for decades, different generations, and now they are burning it down
That's
to
right.
feel something,
yeah.
to feel a
Right.
part of something,
Right.
the warmth of something.
Right.
So we have to make that conscious efforts to understand, engage, include, and mentor our young people.
Right.
So I'm on your
Right.
page.
Right.
Well, and
Well,
that's
I have,
that
you know,
whole how we engage with young people, because I think that's one of the big things we're trying to get here
Right.
today.
Right.
I came up in a generation where you say yes ma'am and yes sir because that's what you did. That's where you raised very little. You couldn't say otherwise. You had to put a handle on it. It was Mr. or Ms., what have you.
Mhm.
These kids are different. And I don't have a value judgment about that. But let me tell you what I can do, and I'm expert at this. Modeling behavior.
That's
All
right.
the girls from 6th grade to 12th grade at
Yes.
Hawthorne Leadership School for
Yes.
Girls. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am, when they ask me something.
Model the behavior.
I respond to them with respect. So
That's
that
right.
they know what it looks like. Because
Right.
you owe respect to somebody for being on the earth.
Right.
That's right.
Being a human being
Right.
is
Right.
enough. It ain't got
Yes.
nothing to do with age, ain't got nothing to do
Nothing.
with what you made, it ain't got nothing to do with where you went to school, what degree or diploma you
That's right.
received.
That's right.
And you deserve respect.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. How can I help you? Yes,
Yes.
sir. What can I do
Yes.
for you?
Yes.
So I no longer, because I have more bridge that I can travel for them to get to them. They only have this much bridge. They don't
Yeah.
know nothing yet.
Yes.
Right.
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 Right. You have to teach. We forgot that.
And they have a different bridge that they are crossing that we,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that it's different. But
Yeah.
we have to engage them and understand them. And like you said, respect is the key as well. But it's that caring and love that we've been missing in dealing with our youth. We've almost not loved them, but more feared them.
Yes. We feel ourselves. Some of us
Right.
fear each
Right.
other.
Right.
And that's
Right.
why we aren't where we need to be. They have programmed us to
Right.
hate each
That's
other.
right. Right.
Do you hear
That's
me?
right. Right.
Like you say, I don't want to stay with them. Oh, they get on my nerves. They talk too much. They got in our own family. So if we can't love within the family, how do we
What are we
love
gonna do?
outside?
That's right. Right.
We have to learn to agree to disagree and still, you know, not polarize ourselves. You know, one of the things that you're saying, you know, Christina, and at least I am in our footprint for the neighborhood, you know, we really have maybe 7 blocks that have homes, you know, because a lot of people have moved out. So we're trying to bring
Right.
development here. We are going to do that. But I have about 6 churches in my footprint, 6 churches that are commuter.
Right. That's
You
right.
know, right in there, you know, so my church, St. Alphonsus Rock Church, I'm really trying to bring them in to our North Central plan. I have a Stroy's Memorial, and the pastor came to one of our community meetings just to say, I can't be in your neighborhood, in this neighborhood, without being a part of this.
That's
We
right.
have another church right next door, and I had the pastor. So we have 3 churches that are very engaged.
That's
But
good.
what I'm really working hard to get the 3 other churches that were part of the North Central Plan. And the North Central Plan is to revitalize the neighborhood in the 18th Ward and 19th Ward. You know, and it's been a struggle to get people to just bring their voice. You know, we've been having all kinds of, you know,
Apathy.
literature out to bring their voice in to say, what do you want? I have been interviewed by several students, and one is the Arts Academy, you know, and they're talking about the neighborhood and you know, what is of value to you, and I'm explaining what we're doing, but I'm saying, what would get you to tell your family, I want to live over there, rather than have to take the bus or get a ride to school, you know? So this is
Can I
what-
say something to that, Miss Audrey? From my point of view, I guess with the youth, I think a lot of times, from my own perspective, from me growing up, I did see my grandfather do a lot. Like, he had a garden in his backyard, and he had, you know, he went to the meetings, and, you know, he was very involved in community and in church. He was one of them Sunday mornings, you at grandma and granddad's house, you better get up and go to church,
Right.
Sunday school and all. But he didn't really speak. He didn't say much. We didn't have conversations about things that happened, you know, before I was in existence. We didn't have conversations about how he migrated here from Mississippi, what things they went through with purchasing their home in that neighborhood and that community. We didn't talk about any of those things. And my grandparents were my grandma was the mother of the neighborhood. She kept all the children, but we just didn't have these conversations. And I think that's the key to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I saw him do things, but I like she said, if he would have grabbed my hand and said, hey, Shabana, come here and get in this garden with me, I would now probably know how to do a garden. I want to do it, you know what I mean? But he didn't say, hey, baby girl, come go to this meeting with me. Or, you know, let's sit down, let's talk about something.
That happened for me.
Yeah, it happened for me too. That's how I got involved.
And that's why I think, and so that's what I mean when I say, I think what happened between the generation of you guys' generation to now, we have not really, we see it, but we haven't been really taught it.
You haven't been brought in.
Yes.
You haven't been embraced.
Funny. I told my little grandbabies, I do a garden and I live in an apartment. So I have a container garden and you can do, but when they were 18 months old on their balcony, I planted for them. So they had little baby watermelons and all of that. Right. Because my grandmother, who came from Arkansas to St. Louis, had a 4-family flat on McCree. That entire from her back door to the alley on both sides was nothing but a garden. So those are my favorite memories, picking them collard greens and learning how to strip them and just taking time to do that. Right. So my 10-year-old twin grandbabies last weekend, they were like, we hungry, grandma, we hungry. I sat here while my daughter did my hair and I talked them through how to make a pasta meal. And my daughter kept trying to go in there. I said,
let them do it.
And see, look at that
in them, you keep doing this hair and I'm gonna talk them through. And they were so proud of that meal.
That's right.
But
that's a memory.
We have to realize that grandma now might be 37 years old.
Grandma
working. Not even 37, but still working. Some of them are still working.
Still working.
My mama, she works. And so she don't have the opportunity.
Don't have the time.
Yeah, she don't have the time. You know what I mean? So some of them are still working.
And trying to make a living. Was working too, you know, but she said, okay, we're gonna have this for dinner. You peel those potatoes, you know, you start the mashed potatoes, you know, you put the greens on, you know, I mean, we had to do that, you know.
We have to be strategic about pouring into our young people. And it doesn't have to be our own children. That's what we got to really expect. Other children. You know, in Slaco, we started this emerging leaders program for kids between the ages of 16 to 24. And we employed them to go to neighborhood association meetings, help neighborhoods canvas. And that's how I met Audrey. And when the young people come up with an idea, we have to back them. So let me tell you what happened. In November, the president of our emerging leaders group came to me and said, you know, Miss Sunday, we're getting ready to have a new mayor, and some of the kids are talking, and we want to hold a debate. And I said, you do? And he said, yeah. And let me tell you. And I said, well, you all come up with some questions and I'll try to get some money, some funding together. And so we got like $2,500 from donations. And then we got the young girl, Samantha Jones, who's a young anchor woman on KMV Channel 4, to be the moderator. And they came up with these beautiful questions. They were targeted questions about issues ranging from the schools, public schools, crime, violence, everything, the drone that was being voted on. But what they did that was different from any of the other debates, and a lot of people have commended us on this, is that their very last question to all of the candidates was, name something kind about your opponents in this race.
Oh, that's
Ooh.
beautiful. Right,
Wow.
right.
The tone for that, and we held that on January 13th we were the first debate of the mayoral candidates, so all four were in
Okay,
it.
I've seen that. That's great.
And oh, you saw it? Oh, yes,
Oh,
thank you.
I didn't.
Oh, see, I need to send you. It's on YouTube and on our Facebook page. But they subsequently went on to have other debates where we heard there was controversy, there was da da da. So even a lot of elected officials reached out to us and said, you know what, your young people did a great job in coming up with those questions. These babies came up with that. So when they have a good idea,
Right.
we can't just blow it off and go, okay, yeah, that sounds good, because we tired, because I was tired.
You know, Sonny, when my granddaughter lives in Chicago, when she came and I told her, I said, come on, this will be a good experience for you. And she just enjoyed going on our neighborhood with your emerging group. You know, and she, since 4th grade, she's in Chicago, but she's in 8th grade now. She has been part of what they call the problem solvers. These kids go in early.
That's right.
To come up with trying to solve a problem, you know, and this is in Illinois schools. And one of the things that's so impressive for her, you know, she gets kind of shy when I try to ask her about it, but they have placed, each year she's been there 5 years now. This last year they had to do a virtual, so they haven't done it yet, but they have placed in state. They have had the opportunity up until COVID last year to go to Bloomington, Illinois and present their problem. And they have placed each year. And I said, you have to give yourself credit, you know, and she wants to do it in high school.
So there is kids out here definitely doing things like you. It's some, and like you said,
highlighting
backing up. Yeah, highlighting it and backing it
We
out.
focus on the negative. We focus on the jack boys and the drug boys, and we never focus on these children who are on their level, taking control of their sphere of influence, their neighborhood, their block, their house, doing stuff on behalf of where they stand.
That's why I try to put something
Summer
on
was an awakening.
page.
These young people said, we ain't taking it no more.
Yes, and it's a lot of young people out here doing the work. What I do think, it's not guided sometimes, and that's an issue. Again, because that's what we talk about, mentorship and mentors and having people in place that can, you know, be like, okay, that's a good idea. Let's mold it, you know, so it can fit or whatever. But yeah, it's some people I definitely think that are out here wanting to but I just don't know where to start. And that's kind of how it was for me. Like when that Mike Brown stuff, I'm like, oh,
now look where you're at now.
I'm ready to do something. Like, what I'm finna do? Ooh, I didn't know what to do. But again, my babies came.
You know, one thing is that we need to share. Everybody has gifts and talents. Tell your children, and we need to share that from a young age. You have gifts and talents from every age, from when you're born to when you're 10. You do this, and you got a gift in what you do it. It'll change from the next 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40. But we need to highlight what are your gifts and talents. And then, like you say, don't just throw them to the side, bring them out so the child can do them. And then we need to look and see what does our child can do or what the neighbor child can do. But we don't highlight everybody's children that we come in contact with, anybody's children. If we see that, and I love what Miss Alicia said about that being a role model, and at the Hazelwood School, at the school I'm at, I make sure that's why I make sure I call the kids by their last name. How you doing? There was Miss. How you doing, Miss Hazley? They say I'm not Miss Hazley. I'm Christina. No, you Miss Hazley to me because you don't say me. Call me Miss Hayes. And if you keep doing it, they do it. People
Absolutely.
change by behavior, and it doesn't matter what. And so they say, no, you can't just call me Christina. I'm Miss. You can't call me girl. And they'll know, no, I won't respond to girl. I won't respond to no because we're in a work setting. You're in a school setting, and that's how you act. But I always say with them, I say high school is the last stop. I can't be in this school and this is the last stop where you go to the world and you go out and tell people I graduated from Hazelwood West and you talking any kind of way, acting anyway, it come back to us. We saw you talking that way. I am responsible to correct you. Even and many of them will tell me all the time, you ain't gotta do all this. That's fine, but you're gonna appreciate it later. You don't have to appreciate it right now, but my job is to tell you. Like you said, we can't be scared to tell our children they wrong. They don't appreciate it like a lot of things. My grandma told me that ain't right, Christina. I didn't appreciate it then, and I didn't agree with her, but I agree with her now. Just tell
That's
it.
how she showed you she cared
Just
about you.
tell it.
And we stopped doing that.
Right.
So the kids, they realize we don't care
Parents,
nothing about them running around acting a fool.
Right, because you didn't tell me that I was going right.
We're afraid.
So go back
And
into
what their
that.
mama gonna say, what their mama gonna do. If I step, and you know what? If I do
Sometimes you're
something
scared
in
to talk
love,
to the mama.
right?
I was
If
just
I
about
do
to say.
something in love and with integrity, and I got my receipts, bring your mama. Bring
Right.
your mama.
If you're doing it well.
Let's
She
have a
might need to
conversation on
talk
the
too,
real.
though. And that's again, like honestly, y'all, some of these kids at home, no, I'm being real. This is the hood talk.
No,
Okay.
you're real.
They going home
Yeah.
to parents who don't know
That's
nothing, who has that same
And we have
mentality
to
that they're
remember
bringing
that.
to you, and they're
Yeah.
like, they don't know nothing different, so they think this is normal. Like you,
Let me say this,
and they not
we have
getting
to
it.
remember that.
I believe you need to take a person, anybody, where they come to you. But
That's right.
so we have uniforms at our school, right? And now we're on virtual. We didn't have a problem with how you looked or how you dressed when you came to school, but now you're on virtual. So you want to show up on camera with the bonnet on.
No, you
There's
can't.
not a job, not one, that's gonna let you have this bonnet. There's not a nurse,
That's
a
right.
doctor, a lawyer, a
That's
teacher,
right.
a bus driver that's gonna let you wear this bonnet. You can't even
That's
wear
right.
that bonnet
Right.
at Family Dollar.
Okay.
So why
That's right.
do we have to have this conversation about this bonnet?
We should.
But I need you to see appropriateness for where you're going, not for where you're at.
That's
Yes, you're
right.
in your bedroom
Right.
taking this class, but
Yes.
you're taking this class because your
Yes.
path is this.
Yes.
So dress for
That's
where
right.
you're going.
Right.
Yes.
You know, and sometimes we do have to, and the
that's what we
parents
gotta
will say
say.
to us, well, why is that important? Because all these things that these children may dream to be,
Behavior.
none of them look like that. So you got to dress the part, period.
And it
And
was
then
something
I
else
think-
that
Black
you said.
thing, it ain't a none of that. It ain't a rich, poor thing.
Right.
There's a uniform for the position that you're looking to be in life. And it
And it-
don't have a bonnet on it.
That's true.
I'm
And it was
sorry. That's
something
my
else you said.
my own personal little thing.
No, you're
Go ahead,
fine.
Miss Sunny.
But you said something really good that I think all of us NLF graduates can attest to when you were talking about like these negative things that they do. We just look at it because we want to help improve them. But you said we focus too much on the negative, focus on the positive, focus on the strengths. And you all remember that session we had, the Clifton strengths
Right. That's right.
assessment and all that, where they trained us how we are as humans. Our psyche is, if I bring home a report card and I got 4 D's and a B, instead of looking at that B and seeing what my strength is, the parent is just going to harp on that D that you got and then just and strengthen that and in that area. And then you never build on what your true born skill set was. So I just wanted to say we should focus on people's strengths and positive skills.
Absolutely. So that they have the confidence to work on the things that they're weak at.
Yes, that's
right. Confidence.
Miss Alicia,
You have to know you got something. So
you got something you're good at. Yes.
Yes.
You know what? When I was young and struggling with different things, all of a sudden I wanted to learn how to crochet. You know, And when I started making things, I sold, but when I started making things, I went all out. I have about 1,000 Christmas trees out there, and I went to all colors, and I would look at outside, and all of a sudden, oh gosh, look at how the seasons are changing, or I made an Afghan, and so that made me feel creative.
Right.
And then I started saying, okay, my creative mind is working, because I was left-handed. So left-handed people were always taught, oh, something's wrong with you, you're left-handed, but hey, we in our right mind, right? So these are different little things I started picking up, just like each one of my grandkids, I taught my daughter how to cook, and each one of my granddaughters, at one point they would spend the summer with me, and this one wanted to come in and she wanted to make a meatloaf. I said, well, okay, well, we got the little, and she just was so proud of herself with this meatloaf,
Right.
and it's just a little small things. Of course, you had to do the cookies and everything else, but just.
And of course, I have we have as grandparents the bandwidth to do that.
That's right.
Because their mama is worn out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's good about being a grandma is,
Not even just the mama, the daddies are too nowadays.
Everybody wore out.
Well, that's right.
Everybody is. We all overwork.
But
Yes.
I like
Everybody
that
tired.
you also can get that. You get
Give
that
us a
back
minute.
because your daughter be saying, "Wow, Mama, I appreciate you." I said, It takes a daughter to be a mother or a son to be a father to really appreciate.
Absolutely.
Their parents.
It does.
It
My
really
daughter
does.
came to me in tears and said, why you didn't just get on a plane and leave?
Yeah, tell me about it. My daughter said that
said,
same
baby,
thing.
I cried many a night and
Yeah.
my knees were discolored because I begged God to keep me in place so
That's
that
right.
you could become what you needed to be.
Yes. It takes
Yeah.
work.
Because it ain't about me. After
But you
get
can't give
birth
up. You can't
children,
give up.
It ain't
See, a lot
about
of
you
parents-
anymore.
It is
Right.
not about you. Every move you make, every thought you think, everything, you be like, it ain't about me no more. It's about your
Right.
children. Man. And I know you was gonna say something, Christina. I'm sorry, we cut you off.
I think I was going to home in on Miss Alicia when she spoke about I have a problem with the bonnet, but I think that goes back to what we had, I think when Mr. Shirley talked about, there were golden rules of things that you did and did not do. And I believe as I'm at the school, kids don't know the do's and the don'ts. The way you just don't come out with your house shoes on. The way you don't just come out with a do-rag on your head or a bonnet on your head. You take pride in the way you look. I don't care if you're going to the corner store. That's what we're missing, what we had back in the day. And I say that for our race. We always went somewhere looking the part. I don't care where it was. And somehow we lost having that pride in ourselves and our look, the way we cared, the way we talked, even when we didn't have any money, we didn't have no education, there was pride in how you presented yourself.
That's the
Something
media. The
happened
media,
there.
the media has done that as well. It's like
Right.
they look at
I was
I
gonna
mean,
say,
idols and they don't feel they have to, do that.
so let's zoom in onto that conversation where you say, when we talk about they don't have that same pride in themselves. So in my mind, I think now, so can we meet them where they are and just, if that's how you come in,
We do.
you get what I'm, if that's
Yeah.
how you're coming, okay,
I
show
love
up.
you enough to say,
right, that's all
these
I'm
are what the
saying. Let's share it.
expectations are.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna denigrate you. I just can't
No,
believe you wearing
you
that.
don't do
What
that,
you
right.
doing? Not that.
Yes.
I'm gonna show to you. Here's the picture. We're gonna go all back to kindergarten before you could read. Do you ever see a doctor? Do you ever see a fireman? Do you ever see a city worker or a spire person that's wearing this? What do you want to be in life?
But I was just about to say, the people that, like Miss Audrey said, they're not seeing those folks though. They're not inspiring to be them. Because right now, like I had a conversation with my nephew the other day, like, he's excited about, this rap and all of this and playing basketball. And I say, that's all they've zoomed in for Black children.
Right,
in my eyes, is sports and entertainment. So they're not seeing to being lawyers. They're not seeing to be doctors. They're not seeing to be,
They're not having that goal.
yeah, they're not seeing, or that the biggest and hype is on their block, it might be the drug dealer. You know what I mean? The most
But
inspired that a
don't wear
woman
a
might, a
bonnet.
little girl might be seeing is Nicki Minaj or Beyonce, right? And not to say nothing's wrong with that, but I'm just saying that's what they're inspiring to be. So this is how they're showing up because they're not seeing what you're talking about being. They don't have that inspiration to be that. So how do we get that in front of our children so that they can see that strong Black people in these type of positions, holding power and doing things that's right for the community, because they also don't have trust for
The
some of these
media may hype for you the entertainment and the athletic, but it's up to us, especially the educators. It is up to us to hype everything else in the spectrum you can be. We're probably not going to change what the media and the athletics have pegged us to be. But as African Americans, it's important for me to tell you, these are the things that I have been in my life. And these are the things that have allowed me to be those things.
Right.
I have to speak to you in your ear. We know that the person who has the most influence, we like to blame the media, but the person who has the most influence on a child is their mother. The primary determiner of how high the child will aspire in educationally is the education level of their mother. So we have to empower those mothers. That's why I was on Flourish.
Yes,
I think
I can work with the other mothers about this next generation. Because I didn't get mine, but it's time for me to get back. That's why you're doing this podcast, correct?
Yes, but I think the horse has left the barn. I'm sorry. And I think that we've had too many consecutive generations of mothers that did not rise to the occasion of having certain conversations with their children about appropriate things and behavior. So now I find myself I'm uncomfortable with certain things that I see, and I don't want to speak out against it because I know this is the new way that they do things. And I'll give you an example. The Grammys the other night, and they had the Stallion on there, Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh no, Cardi B and Megan Thee
Cardi
Stallion.
B and Megan Thee Stallion
Humping each other.
They on the big bed and doing, and then and there was a time when you couldn't do that stuff. Was almost X-rated. It looked like almost
CBS,
you couldn't do it on CBS. You couldn't do it. And nowadays there's so many other things that I find myself having to accept, like and I'm not homophobic or anything, but on almost every show that I watch, there is a gay relationship that has to be explicit in expressing their love for one another. And I feel uncomfortable with it, but I have to understand these are the consequences of having generations of families not uphold certain things that we viewed as appropriate.
Valued.
And I don't know how we can get back. I feel like the horse has left the barn and we have to create a space that has some of those elements in it, but really looks out for the safety and stands up for the safety of everyone involved. Is all
to me, what you're saying is, go ahead.
I want to share one thing, and all this is kind of tying in, like whether Federation of Block Unions, the Urban League and Federation of Block Unions is standing now. Vice President James Clark realized that a home it's in the home. Things have broken down in the home. And then also we realized what we talked about earlier, it was the church. And he said it's the church that was the cornerstone. The church is really where a lot of activities took place and a lot of what you believed and how the standard was. And that's why they decided that now we are bringing churches in the Federation of Block Unions to the Urban League to make them back what they used to be, resources for the community. They're supposed to have been a resource for community. Now, all the resources that are available through the Urban League will come through the churches, which ones they want to offer to their communities, which one is needed more. Different communities have a different need. And so that was a cornerstone. Like you said, when that broke down and the schools broke down, all the values that we learned broke down. Then there was no values to come back to the home. Things fail, but we do have to come back to what is there. What can bring that back out? Is that church?
We all have to decide to stand in the gap.
Right. And then we all
systemically it has broken down. So it's the individual now.
We have to stand up. Right.
We have to stand up, but how do we not tune them out? Because when I spew the message of no sagging pants up in here, no bonnets, you know, I get the backup of the parents and I make sure they understand these are the rules and you have to back me up on that. But
I think you just have to think, we have to have the rules and make sure we stay at the rules and commit to that. And just share, we can explain why we do have those rules. It is okay for you to do what you want to do at your home. If you want to sag past and this and that, but when we come into this institution and to this school and to this church and this place, these are the rules. We're not saying what you can't do. You can do however you want. You can talk however you want. That, but when you come in here, these are this. Everywhere you go, there's going to be rules. When you go to the doctor's office, they're not going to allow you to just do whatever you want. Now with COVID, you can't do whatever you want. So you change them rules. You're just not walking in the store without a mask. You went over that mask in so you can get you some food. So we know that we have to conform. We can't battle everything. Right. But I think our job in any institution,
and we can't be okay with everything either.
There's also, you know, there's not enough people that value who they are. You know, there's some self-esteem issues. You know, there's some, you know, like you said, it's systemic, but people feeling that I don't care what I do, I'm not going to get ahead, you know, because of low-paying job. There's certain things that they have to live. Well, like, for instance, my grandmother was a domestic. She was sent from a little small town to go to school. She met this man, fell in love, and unfortunately, they divorced, but she took pride in what she did. She still valued herself, even as a domestic, to put values in her children, her daughters, to want to achieve. But you had that community, again, that helped. And we've kind of, like you said, how do we bridge that? How do we go back? And you know, when we don't have the resources in the community, you know, because we had things after schools. You know, when you don't have the schools in the community, where can these children go?
Programs in the
you know, I mean, that we need programs
in
the community where they can walk to. You know,
the answer is there. You guys have just highlighted all of the answers. It goes back to mentoring and showing and being exposed.
And you taking personal accountability because the system is broken.
Right, we know that. We know that.
Individuals have to step in.
We gotta stand up. Right.
But you know what I hate is when we do take a stand, we set policy. I hate when I run into one youth or even a little clique of youth that go, oh, I don't want to deal with her. She gonna do this and she thinks she that and da-da-da. And they got a rule for this. So then they don't even want to participate.
So then we focus on the ones that do.
Yes.
Boom, boom, boom.
One thing
we're not gonna save everybody.
One thing I wanted to share. I live in Northwoods. And when I was young, my grandmother's lived here since the 70s. And this was always a strict community, meaning if you know, who oversees the community at that time, if you did your car this way, you got a ticket. If you drove too fast, you got a ticket. They don't matter what you did, they had somebody telling you quickly what the violations were. And when I was growing up, I said, well, then who wants to live here when, hey, you make a mistake, they got this. It wasn't until I got older, until I realized, oh, that's how you keep a community. You gotta tell people, oh, no, you did this, this, that. So the kids may not understand. And it's okay that they don't understand, but we got to stand firm because they will understand why the rules are in place. And their mindset is a different way at the time.
Even if they get in trouble, they'll understand later.
We must stand firm on why there is a rule, because it's for your benefit. It's for your protection. There are reasons why they're for your future. When you get a job and you post yourself all on Facebook with your head bonnet on and you sagging, then later on you look at something, they may go back to your Facebook page and check that out. You have to watch your character along the way in life, no matter what age you is. So we just got to explain it and share it. They may not agree at 19, but they will agree at 20.
They don't agree. And what I'm saying is,
the job is to share it. Like Miss Savannah said, share it. It ain't your job to dissect how they received it, how they took it, and all like that. Because God will do that. Just share the information. And when it's time for it, they can pick it off the shelf and use it when it's needed.
All we responsible is the seed. Just the seed.
Right.
And I'm praying happens.
But the other one, water. We can't be still. We got to see the whole line, and we done changed the world. No.
You're all right, Christine. No. But what I'm praying happens is that Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B's babies start mimicking what they see their mothers do, and them look at it and go, "Oh, wait a minute now.
But
I
you know
am
what?
a role model." Because this girl was saying she's not a role model, and she
But
doesn't.
wait, she doesn't even allow her daughter to watch her stuff or listen to her music.
But
Boom.
at some point, she's going to. And
I
I
agree.
want,
And that's the conversation that Cardi B will have to have with her daughter. You get my
I
drift?
hope that helps her
Right.
change her behavior.
That's right.
I hope
But
it
I-
does.
but
But
I- you know, what
She's
our
almost
job
changed
is,
by her own
we need to
child
boycott
to behave better.
Grammys.
huh?
We need to boycott CBS. We need to boycott Grammys because you allowed outlet to make money.
And that's
about
what they're
making
doing.
money. That was the most embarrassing thing I ever seen in my life. And
But you
I
know what
didn't listen to
CBS
it, but I
would
don't
not
expect
do?
my children
CBS
to
is
see it
not
on
going,
that.
and CBS is not going to let a Caucasian group
No,
of females
they
behave
really
like that on
don't. Right.
TV. They're
Right.
not
So
going
let me
to.
But
say
you know
this,
what?
lady. Go
They
ahead.
said that we wanted to be included.
Right. Right.
No,
We
we
wanted
didn't
to.
want to
This
be
is.
included like
They
that.
wanted to
But
be
look.
included,
Let me tell
and we
y'all.
allowed them to.
This is how they do though. This is what I feel like. This is the system that's set up to make us fail. We ask to be joined to these people's things, the stuff that we want to be involved, and then they put us involved, and then they put us involved at the worst instead of building our own and supporting our own. Here is your platform, you ladies. Here is where you want the hood
Right.
talks is where you're going to shine. This is
That's
where we want to show positivity of Black people.
Right.
This is why we
Do
want to
our
have
own
these
thing,
conversations
right.
about
We don't have to
growth.
be
So how do we
like-
support our
Right.
own stuff? And
Yes,
stop
Yes.
asking to be
Right.
involved because
I
we're
agree
giving
with
them
you.
the
Right.
We
fuel,
drank their Kool-Aid too
Right.
much.
yes, the illusion of
Right.
inclusion.
We also
It has
have to
And the Kool-Aid
understand that
don't
they
turn out
have,
to be
they say get in where you fit in. These folks didn't become a persona. The persona they were became popular.
yes.
You know, you
That's
came
right.
from being a stripper and a rapper and in that life.
right.
This is not something somebody,
Right.
these aren't decisions somebody outside made. You made it and you like,
Right,
I'm gonna be
right.
the baddest of it. So you went
Right,
on, so
right,
we can't
right.
hold the system responsible. Those are personal choices.
Right.
And those personal choices
Yeah.
paid off. Yeah, so
Correct.
it's not
But
a
we
system
can
who
hold
decided to
responsibility for what's
exploit
going
them.
on out
They decided to put
Right.
themselves up as a commodity, and it has worked for them.
But
But I
what we
still
but
hold the
again,
system
Right.
accountable for what they allow to be viewed. And they don't do it for Caucasians, but they
Right.
quickly let Black people produce harsh lyrics about their women and have their women on stage exposed. Because you know what's quietly being said? Look at them two up there.
Mhm.
That's a shame. They're saying that behind the scenes, a lot of different
I
races.
mean, some of us are saying that, right? You're right.
I was like, right, we see our conversation was about community, and we done went to this topic though. Because
Because
Right.
it affects the community.
it does
will
affect the
affect
community.
It
And
affects
it
us,
also
right.
is bridging the
Look,
gap.
you got all them zeros in your bank account, and our young people are saying, money talks, and you know what walks.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Honestly,
what I'm-
y'all.
That's true.
What I'm saying is, we have an appetite for something.
Yeah.
That thing didn't just spring up out of nowhere. We have an
That's true.
appetite, and it's an
Right.
American appetite in
Right.
particular.
That's
Between
right.
sex and violence, we
That's
got
right.
some pathological issues,
Yes.
and it ain't a white
Yeah, we
thing,
do.
and it ain't a Black thing.
That's
Yes,
right.
it impacts
We
us
do need right.
Well, it comes
disproportionately.
down to the dollar. You know,
Yeah.
It does come down
money,
to the dollar.
you know, if it makes money, then you're a success.
Right.
You know,
And
but
that's what I was going to say.
you know,
If you think about, go ahead.
I have to feel that when I leave doing my job, you know, money, that I got to feel good about myself. If they're feeling good about themselves, you know, but yet they don't want their children to see
To
this.
see them.
So there's something needs to be said.
But
need
you know,
to do
one
something
thing is
different.
that how do we educate? That's fine for them to do that, but then we have to educate our kids, our people that we're in contact, and share it. Did you look on Facebook when she said it was okay for me to do that to make money, but I don't listen to my children? So keep a standard in my house and let them know what
It's
it means there
appropriate
out there. They may
behavior.
hear it, not hear it, but right.
Right.
But I
And
mean,
it
you don't make
goes
money
back
with
I think it goes back to what you guys say. It starts at home, and then it branches off into community. So sometimes you can only control what's in your household. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then sometimes, and then your kids gonna be out there because they're with other people. They're around other people, so it still have to be exposed to them somehow.
Yeah.
But it's still what goes on into your household. And I mean,
I didn't see the Grammys, so that was my.
I didn't see the Grammys either. I don't watch them.
You should be
more,
grateful.
but it was a highlight. It was a very big of a highlight, and there was some backlash.
Embarrassing.
I saw the news. Obviously, I saw the news, and I knew what happened because then they put on repeat and on loop. That's the most incendiary.
And that's what I mean when I say,
if you didn't watch it, you had to watch.
You gonna see it systematic, and that's what. And that's when it goes back to what Miss Sunday said.
They're gonna draw you to it to go see it now. So
they're gonna highlight it. They're gonna highlight it. TikTok videos, all this stuff. This content.
We have to make sure. And what I learned along the way is you have to watch what goes in to your gates.
Yes.
What do you allow to come to your eye gates, your ear gates? What you allow to be heard? What you allow in your heart? So your household. I'm in my household. I don't. If a channel, something on channel. And men and women, I don't agree with it. If men and women doing whatever they doing, that's finna turn off. That means I can't watch certain things. So I know our children gonna do what they're doing, but our household has to have a standard. And like you're saying, and your business has to have a standard. These organizations have to have a standard, and they stay with whatever the rules. Do the rules.
Yes.
But and then people gonna make money, but that don't mean that's making me not to watch the Grammys no more. That's the end of that.
Yeah.
I can't participate in
that's the end of that. So I'm sticking with Soul Train. They got some standards for Black people, you know.
Right.
And that's all I'm trying to say is
well, who all in here has grown children? Who all in here has grown children? Do they occasionally do stuff that you like, I can't believe I raised you?
Correct. Now, everybody has done
let me not act like I'm outside of the realm. My son regularly calls me like, Mom, have you seen Agave? That's my daughter. Have you seen her Instagram? I said, you need to call her husband. Because that's who gets to be the gauge on what is appropriate and not appropriate. If between the two of them, who are both grown and married, have decided that this is okay, I ain't got nothing saying, neither do you. You better go to God with that one. Yeah.
But that doesn't make her a bad person because you already just trying to.
I still say something to my child. And so will my family members. If she has something up, they'll shame her into taking it down.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
occasionally
like
in her
you
class,
said,
and they've had her and her girlfriends on the hookah pipe or whatever that is. My cousin had her take that down immediately. And we had to explain to her, you are in a certain position. You can't just do that. Right. You know, and you got family members from Atlanta calling, from New Orleans calling you, upset about what you've just posted.
I don't have a problem with them calling her. Don't call me.
I will. Shame.
Well, let's get back on track though. Let's get back on track for time's sake, you guys. Because this conversation, but no, and I mean, this is. We're gonna.
But I got you. I'm leery of doing that to other people's children for some reason. I'm like, I'm apprehensive of going in and saying, you know, that is uncalled for. That is.
You know what we did? You know what I did? We took it from the macro to the micro.
That's
right. Yeah, we really have to take personal accountability and look at ourselves and our immediate circle, our family, and then our next circle, our community, and see what changes we can inject. Because if we continue to look at this, we will all put our heads down and wait for the day we die.
Yes. And we can't, everybody ain't going to be able to come and ain't going to be able to be saved. And that's just real talk.
And that's real talk.
Say that again.
And so then it won't stress you, because I've been there like, oh, my people, Lord, what am I? No, like I had to zoom in and my focus in my close circle, starting with them 2 babies upstairs. Yeah, you know, I have control over as much as I can over them 2 babies upstairs.
My life won't be in vain.
Yes.
So
I
think help somebody.
And whoever you can bring along, whoever you can bring along,
whoever I can bring on, bring them on. Yeah,
bring them on.
But if they can't, they got to be left behind. But we've got to keep moving forward. I got you.
And then especially for, let me say, y'all, let me say this, and we're gonna kind of wrap it up real quick. Let me say this. I think my generation and the generation after me is probably a dead fall. But what Miss Christina said is, how do we start back over with the younger ones? Like, how do we take hold? And I think that's a lot of lacking resources for my 3-year-old. Like, I would love to have her in some programs and things right now where she can start, because this is a developing age. But we're not focusing on them. We're trying to get the ones that have already been a little bit gone. So no, let's focus on the ones that we can start teaching again and start setting the standard again and bring them in. I think that's what we really have to focus on.
I think you're right.
Y'all, this conversation is definitely a good conversation. This segment will continue because I think this is an important aspect of community. But I do want to touch around too, like you guys, and highlight how you are in the community and how you do it. How do you do it? Why do you do it? And how could community rally and support around the people in your age range to keep doing it? And we're going to close out on that note.
I do it because I want to close my eyes, knowing that I have done all that I could do to be something good in the world. I really, that old hymnal, if I can help somebody.
Right.
Yeah, it ain't a big thing. It's a little thing. It's like you said, your grandfather didn't talk, but he did some stuff. But you remember him doing some stuff. And that plants a seed. Like may not be able to garden, but you saw him do some things. You may not be able to cook, but you remember being in the kitchen with your grandmother and she did some things. And so by trial and error, because you saw somebody do something.
Yes.
By trial and error, you may step on out there and do that too. So my testimony is, if I can help somebody, it ain't a big thing. It's a little bitty thing. Every day I make that choice.
And I want to, my thing is to improve. I have a daughter and a granddaughter that are out in the community trying to make a difference, trying to make a positive impact on the difference. Because I'm gonna go Christian on you. The Lord gave us this land. It needs to be cultivated. It needs to be beautified. It needs to stay. When you go out and you see nature at its best, then you're like, I can't just throw stuff down on the street. I can't ignore the decay. I feel that we have to take pride in our space, because if we take pride in our space, I want to believe that other people are going to take pride, and they're going to say, I did a landscaping. I had folks say, oh, who did that? Well, I'm working on getting the MSD because they're giving money for that. There's money out there for other organizations to help beautify. So I'm trying to tap in on all those resources, because I want to be able to sit on my porch and see the beauty and not see the trash.
Ooh.
That's my testimony.
Yeah.
I would like to share a lot of things I do. I'm sorry, did something happen? A lot of things I do simply because I will go the same way Miss Audrey did. I have a strong belief, and the things I do is because I choose to walk like Jesus walked, and I choose to love everybody like He loved. I don't take credit. I know we look at people a certain way, but I do know everybody has a choice. It's just how I see that view or whatever. But it can be right or wrong, and it's okay for me to have my choice, and they have theirs, and that's okay. But the thing is that I follow whatever the Lord tells me to do. If He tells me to go to this community, He didn't just send me to that community to just sit down and enjoy my house. He sent me there to do something. If He sends me to this church, He sent me to get involved. If He sent me to that job, He didn't just send me to that job to work and get some money and take care of my household. He sent me there to make a difference. He sent me there to show my love. He sent me there to share or to mentor wherever you walk. You're supposed to you're mandated to do something to make a difference. So it doesn't matter where you're doing. I don't care if you're in the restroom, at Dillard's, if you just meant to say, woman, oh, young lady, you look very pretty with that lipstick and you like it, say it, because we don't know the impact of your words, your compassion, your love. But it's just every day knowing that God sent you to make a difference, to show His light, to shine. And that's where I'll wrap that at.
Yes.
Sunday.
And I just feel fulfilled from it. I get great joy from helping people. And it's almost like a feeling of selfless accomplishment. I do. I feel uh, like we are, it's a spiritual connection. We are souls here, all trying to figure out our way through this process that we are now encapsulated in these bodies, trying to live this thing they call life. And to be committed to being helpful to one another. That is what's real. The only love is what's real when you get to the bottom of everything that goes on in our universe. And when you understand that you have great joy because you have selflessly helped somebody. You didn't think about yourself. You thought about something and someone else or something bigger than you. And I know for older adults or any adult, time commitment can be an issue. But what I've also seen is apathy is more of an issue in our community where they just lack the interest because no matter what you're doing, they feel like it's not going to change anything. They have a lack of hope. And so what I can do to address that is to start trying to make visible changes to inspire hope, even if it's just a little program that inspires maybe one or two people, that can have a ripple effect. And so that is what spurs me on to speak the way I do, to exchange the way I do, to network, because there's great networking in this community work. Because I know you all fabulous young ladies here, and I just feel like that's kind of what we are here on this planet to do, to be at that soulful level of just love, helping one another. And if we want to be Christian like, which I do, because I want to go to heaven, I'm gonna tell you, you have to let your light shine. You know that the little song we used to sing, I'm gonna let it shine, you know, all of that. And we have to be consciously doing that, letting our love light shine and help one another. But that's what we're put on the planet for. And how do we inspire others to take time out and not feel that apathy that dredges on us, to still have hope and be inspired to do something? That's what I want to be about.
Yes.
Martin
And
Luther King
one
said it the
thing.
best, you
Oh,
know.
go ahead.
Let me help. I can just help one somebody.
Yeah,
And he
that's a
helped
Lisa song.
generations. If I can help, you know, and that person can help, and that person can help, let it trickle on down.
Yeah, to trickle
And
on
the
down.
You know, you
NLF,
just gave me chills.
one thing just to say, the NLF, the NF,
Yes.
Yeah, you just gave me chills.
Neighborhood Leadership Fellows, it was just so wonderful being part of that group to say, I'm not alone. They think like I think and they work in it, you know, and if we can work it in each of our communities and get other folks to start working that, because I'm working hard at trying to do that. And I ain't gonna give up, you know, but sometimes it gets a little rough. Like you said, you got to be on them knees, you know.
That's
Is
right.
that give me the strength. And
One more thing, y'all, I do want to highlight too, before we end the segment, and I think this is important. What do you guys want to praise the younger generation for? Because I do think we are doing some of the younger folks that are doing some awesome things. So what is one thing that you
Knowing
feel
this
like?
technology and being willing to share it and being able to take over the duties. When I don't know something, they say, "Oh, I can take it for you real quick." Oh, please take it, because I done been doing it for about an hour and I still can't understand it. I love it when you have to find that talent with it. Can you take that over for me? I love it when they willing to help me with technology.
Exactly.
I second that. They are technically savvy, but they're also just very publicly expressive, more expressive than I've ever been in my whole life. Because I don't know how to Instagram, and I don't want every picture I ever take out there. But they're so free with it, and it's their authentic selves a lot of times.
And
That's
they
the
know
mental
their
health
worth.
right there. That's
A
the
lot
mental
of
health.
them, they know their worth. To know your worth, and these young folks, you know, especially these mentoring groups, have learned their worth, and they're going to expect the companies to respect their knowledge, to respect their hard work, and they're not
just not settling for
They're not going to settle. They're not going to settle.
They're just not settling for a job because I need a job. No, I got some talents, and I love that.
Use my talent. Use my talent.
And if the job doesn't want them, they create it and make money off of the technical stuff they know.
But creativity, these young folks are very creative, and the media outlets has really helped So I mean, I feel encouraged. I feel encouraged, I guess, because even my stepchildren, they're out there, they're doing it. My daughter is doing it. My granddaughters are doing it. You know, my friends. You know, so it's like somehow in our world there are folks out there doing stuff.
Yes,
You
Yes,
know,
absolutely. They just not getting they're not just getting the media attention. What the first thing when you asked that question, first thing I thought was they are really good at being unapologetically pissed off.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we came up
Because
in
you saw them
we drank the Kool-Aid, and
marching.
it
They're
was
out
good
there
Kool-Aid
marching.
for our time. The civil rights,
Yeah.
you know, non-violent, peaceful. Well, see,
Oh
what they
yeah.
didn't tell us was that we were non-violent to elicit their violence to get the attention that the movement needed. They are
Exactly.
unapologetically pissed
They
off,
are.
and therefore that's a mental health thing to me. If you can
Weren't you so
express
proud of
that
them?
this is wrong and I ain't gonna take it no more, you are going to be healthier than the person who says, well, if I just dress right, or well,
That's
if I
right.
just cut my hair,
Right,
or
right,
well, if I just speak, you
right,
know, appropriately with articulately.
right.
I
Yep.
love that the
But you know, I
generation
think it
coming up
depends
is just
because
pissed
the
off and
season
saying
has
this
changed.
system is broken and we not playing no more.
Right,
Yes.
that's right.
Because
So
they
the
saw how
seasons
it
have
broke down their
changed.
parents and their
And
grandparents.
yeah,
And they
Yeah.
said, I'm not going to be broke like that.
right, that's right.
Yeah.
And that's good
Yes.
that the
Right.
seasons have changed, that they are allowed to be outspoken like that. We couldn't have done it because there were things that were going to happen, and they're not afraid to just step out. Step out.
They are
Make a change.
authentic with
And
it.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Unapologetic.
And we all need, and
Unbothered.
the only thing we need to be is their support. And if
Yeah.
because they don't step out, but we need to be
Right.
there and say, hey, if you step out this way, know this gonna happen. Know this might, but be a guy. If they gonna step out, be behind them. That's what I
Yes.
say.
And they're
They
learning
do.
their
If I wasn't
history.
afraid of
Strategically
Exactly
COVID,
right.
planning with
They're
them.
if
learning.
I
Because that's
wasn't
what
afraid
we
of
need.
COVID, I wanted to go to the protest this summer and be the grandmas in the lawn chair.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna hurt these babies because these old women said. And
Yeah.
so the next time, and we really need to do that. We do.
Yeah.
Just like the white folks cover for us, and when you're an
That's
ally, you use your body and put your body on the front line.
Right.
When you are my accomplice in the
Yeah.
movement towards racial equity,
Right.
that's what that means. It means you put yourself on the front line.
right.
Us older folks are gonna have to start doing that.
Right.
We are.
We
Oh,
might
We
can't be
might
on
get
definitely.
the
beat.
front
We
line,
might
but
get
we
beat
can be
down. We
there.
might get beat down, but we need to
Right.
show to the young people, I can't walk with you because I got bad
Right.
knees.
But I'm right out
Right.
here on
But I'm
the
about to
court.
bring
I'm
this
in my
lawn chair.
wheelchair. Right. I'm there.
But I
But
show them a little differently. I may not be out there in the 90-degree weather with you, but I will be in that office with that congressperson, that other person that
And I'm
helps dictate
right.
policy. And I will help
Right.
us create a strategic plan on how we
Right.
advocate and make what you want to
Right.
have happen. But they need
Right.
that
But
piece as well, people to guide them
yeah.
on that strategy.
In
They
every
just
step.
they
Yeah.
need to know that we haven't
And
given
that's
up.
where I could fit in.
Yes.
We haven't retired from the fight. The fight looks
Yes.
different for
We
you
just
than it
can't
does
fight the
for us.
same fight.
But we
Yeah.
still on the
We
team.
here. That's right.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
think that's what they need to know. And
They
you know,
need
it's
to
so
know we
empowering
behind you.
because
I may not
we
be there
watching you grow,
marching with
Savannah.
you.
Huh?
You know, we watching you grow. You came to the NFL and this and that. I don't know how I can do it. I'm having a baby. And I don't have time now. You got this going on. You got a baby right here. You doing this and that. You didn't see how you can do it, but you doing it.
You're
I
doing it.
did
We
not
know it's
see.
changing.
When
We know y'all
NPR,
taking the
one of the
helm. Y'all
proudest
taking
days
it.
I have had is when NPR pulled this child out of my neighborhood, because I consider this is my neighborhood, out of my sphere of influence of the folk, and put her on NPR. NPR is my thing, okay? I'm an NPR morning, noon, night, Saturdays, yeah.
I'm gonna have
I'm
to
an
get.
NPR
I'm gonna have to
baby.
get into
So then I
NPR.
was like, look at my baby, look at her.
Yes.
Got something to say and got a platform to say it on. And
Let
then
me
you done propelled and made it into this, the hood
Yes.
talk. Girl,
Yes.
go on with yourself. Go on with yourself.
And I think I shared this with her. I want to be more like her because I grew up in an era where you just didn't do that. You didn't do that. And I'm just like, wow, I want to be more like that because I want to be free
Yeah.
and be my authentic self. Yeah,
Right.
I think I
Right.
shared that with you. She was like, wow, Miss Sunday, I didn't know you feel like that
I
about
did not know. And
And
now,
y'all
see,
open the next door for
you
us.
are an inspiration to
Yes.
me
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
thank you,
for that.
guys.
And it
Yeah.
frees me. But I
Right.
got your back. When anything goes down and whatever skill set I have, I got your back.
And shout out to Miss Sunday, because she is helping. Like, she put me in the place where I can to build the brand and the business, and got some people behind me to help me in that sense. So when we talk about, again, networking and supporting each other, this is a circle, y'all. This is real. It's real. It's really happening. Like, I a lot of this stuff. Again, thanks, shout out to NLF. The connecting and the networking and supporting each other has definitely been my fuel to moving this forward. And I know, like I said, I've met so many great people in the moment that I'm like, we need to shed light on these people, and y'all are those people. And I appreciate every part that I've had an experience with you all. I appreciate you being on this platform. I appreciate these conversations, because I swear to God, if anything, the Hood Talks will be highlighting our people forever. Even if it goes beyond me, I will love that, because we need a space and we need a place where we can have these tough conversations and still come out on top and show that we are supporting each other, we are a community, and we are networking, and we doing the work. Point blank, period. We got the people out here. The people are out here, and the people are speaking. Talking.
I want to share one more thing about my granddaughter, and I didn't even know this. She was at SLU, and she did a podcast. And one of the things she taught, it was called something about because I'm Black. And she really talked about the racial inequities or inequalities, I guess, at SLU, and being one of the few African Americans there. And they made it real, and SLU let her have it. I mean, I just said, wow, and I'm like, I didn't even know you felt like that. She felt that she couldn't share with me. I'm a grandma, because she wanted, hey, I'm here going to school, getting an education, and so she speaks out. She's come a long way in speaking out, and sometimes, like I said, you want to, hey, come down a little bit, but that's not her. Just like she's trying to tell her sister something. Well, I was there when I was young. I said, but let her mama take care of that baby. So we just got to love her and support her. Because she's going, sometimes you gotta that's her mama's job. But
we're all human, right?
Yeah.
Y'all probably can think back on some times where you was out there like,
look, I did some stuff. Yeah, and I'm so glad it wasn't no social media to catch me.
Now that's the difference.
That's right.
That is the difference.
That is the difference.
That is the difference. I tell people that all the time. And I get time in the place, y'all. Closed doors is fine. Let's do it behind closed doors. Let's do it off camera so we can't get caught.
Right.
I bet we'll be okay. Don't nobody even know. It's okay to people not know what you got going on.
Look, it's between me and God.
But they gotta learn. They gotta learn.
You ain't got no heaven or hell to put me in, and God didn't already talk to me about it. So let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
You look at some of the stars.
Thank you.
Some of the stars that got stuff that's out there. I was thinking about Vanessa Williams and her stuff that's gonna ever be out there. Yeah. But the girl went on.
But let me say this too, y'all. If we can limit how much those people inspire our children, and get back to the people in our community to inspire our children. Because when I was growing up, the lady at the cleaners who talked to me, who always gave me candy when I stood on the bus stop, she's in my mind. The lady, white lady that I used to go take her trash out, she used to call me, I can't remember what she used to call me, Twinkle. She was blind. I used to go take her trash out. She have candy and money for me. Those people sit in my heart. The little girl in my apartment building that couldn't say my name, she used to call me Nana, but she always wanted me to come out and play with her. Those people. So if we can get back to talking about people in the community and let these stars and people get out of our children's eyes, it's amazing what will happen to our generation, the next generation.
Yes, I want to be one of those
my children around you all.
You want to talk about you, Sunday.
I want to be one of those people. So when a child grows up, they go, I remember when Miss Sunday made me put on that, and as she said, my shirt had too much hanging out, and I want to be one of those people.
Right.
I do. And
when I got this job, I told my head of school. When I got this job, I told my head of school, I remember at school, it was always at the front desk. Now I do a lot of things, but one of the things is I see these children when they come in and I see when they leave at night. I want to be that woman at the front desk that she was always like tough, but she loved you.
But she loved.
So if your mama called and said you was doing such and such, she was gonna pull you to the side and be like, now
Right. That's right. Go back.
Miss Elisa love
That's what I
you,
want.
but you
Yes.
ain't being lovable right now.
Right.
Your mama
That's
got
right.
these other kids to handle right now, and I'm gonna need you to step up. I'm gonna need you to act right. Every school has to have one of them.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Every
That
community.
child, yeah,
The
not the
big
teacher
mama.
who's giving them lessons, and either they're failing or they're succeeding, but just the person who receives them
Yes.
and then puts them
Yes.
safely
Yes.
back out into the world.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
every
agree.
school got to have one of them. So I'm
I,
happy to
I
be
want
that
to.
person in my second act. I'm happy to be that person.
Right. My
Yeah, I want to
second
be that
act is I
person.
want them folks to say, Audrey didn't give up. She made sure that the development started. She cared about her community and she worked hard. I want folks to remember that.
But I want to cultivate that process that Shavannah had as a young child in all of our youth, in appreciating those people that have your ear in person. And I like what you said,
Right.
trying to get them not to think so much about what the media has out there, what the rap
Right.
stars are doing, or that's what I want to cultivate in our youth. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't remember them people names for nothing, but I remember them.
Of
Right.
course you
You
do.
heard me? I remember them. So that was inspiring them
That's
then,
like when I
and this
was the
is
first,
inspiring now. Go
right,
ahead.
the only
Yes, I
little
love
black
that.
child in Kirkwood, that one white lady who said,
Ooh,
called my mama and said, "Can I take your child for ice cream?" Because she knew I needed extra touch because I was the outsider.
Yes,
Somebody, I don't
somebody.
know her name either, but let me tell you, she made a difference.
She made
I
a difference.
survived that year because of her.
Yes. We don't
Surprising
know them
fact.
small things could really impact these
Yeah.
children's lives.
So you matter.
Mm, you
yeah.
matter. Yes, ladies. Yes, this conversation could go on and on and on, but we gonna get out of here for the time's sake because it's a Saturday. It's sunny outside, and I know y'all ladies got some work to put in, of course.
I do. I have
But
I got Saturday stuff.
yeah, I got another show later on today. So yes, 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 and shout out to the
On the
team.
show right now.
But yes,
This is
so
great. I gotta go to the hospital, take care of a little old lady. You know?
yeah, we got some work to put in. But again, y'all, thank you guys for tuning in to the Hood Talks podcast. This was another great episode to add to the list. We are finishing March out with all things doulas. OMG, that birth, all things doulas. We will have a segment of different types of doulas that's talking about what doulas do and all that good stuff. And then April is shooting in with 3 shows. June, May is coming in, and June. We are getting booked to August, and we will end the first season in August, but we will relaunch. But yes, the hood is talking. We is definitely talking.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you, ladies, and
Appreciate you.
we are out.
Come to, all
Thank
right,
you.
come to the
I wouldn't miss
NCT.
this.